Well, welcome back. We're joined this morning again with Lori Langley. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you. We are countdown to Christmas here.
Yes, and it looks like you have a treat that's just perfect for this.
It really is. We don't do candy very often, so I thought, a classic Christmas fudge would be good, and this one is super easy. So
amazing.
The one thing I want to talk about before we get too much into our recipe, though, is kind of some of the equipment that we're going to use. It's maybe a little bit out of the ordinary, or some things you might have to dig out of the back of the cabinet.
Yeah.
You're probably doing that for Thursday dinner anyway. So while you're in there, if you have a double boiler, this is always so good for any kind of candy that involves melting chocolate. And the reason that we use a double boiler as opposed to just microwave or straight on the stovetop is this gives us indirect heat. So we've got just a little bit of water in the bottom. And what that's going to do is as that water heats, it's going to just basically create a steam that is going to give us that really slow, even heating. It's going to keep our chocolate from scorching or getting any water in it. It also gives us that perfect control. So when we get it exactly where we want it, you just pop that off of there and immediately that stops the heat.
Perfect.
So it gives us a couple different, benefits to that. Now, if you don't have a set double boiler, you can do this with a saucepan that maybe you have a glass bowl that kind of just fits over.
Yeah.
You just want to make sure you've got some space between the top of the water and the bottom of the bowl that's sitting on top of it. So not a stressful thing. You don't need to go out and buy anything new, but I think a lot of us have those in the back of the cabinet that we only pull out a couple times a year when we're doing that, and now is the time for sure. You can certainly do this in the microwave. Just want to be so careful that you dial back the percentage of the heat, the temperature on it, so that it doesn't burn that chocolate. So the other thing we're going to do before we get too far into all of our ingredients together is chop up some cherries. And you'll see here, by the way I'm pouring these out, that I've already drained these, gotten all of that juice out of there. You want to rinse them a little bit and get rid of all of that bright red, super sweet juice. And then you also want to kind of squeeze them out and get rid of as much moisture as possible.
Perfect.
We're going to chop them into pretty small pieces, but I'm also going to set back just a few that look really nice and whole that I'm just going to cut in half. And I'm going to save those to put on the top of our fudge so that our pieces will have some little cherry bits on top. So
yay.
As we talked about before, it's always a good idea to save some little ingredients to put on top of your bars or your candies so that's really obvious what's in them.
Yeah.
You never want to just, kind of throw something out there that's pink and have people wonder, is it cherry? Is it strawberry? Does it have nuts in it? If you sprinkle just a few on top, it really helps with that. So we'll save back a few of those halves. While we take a break, I'm going to work on cutting these into really small pieces because we want to be able to cut this easily. And when we come back, we'll have our water heated and ready, and we'll talk about all of those ingredients that are going to come together. Super simple, but so pretty and great for those last minute gifts.
Oh, I can't wait. Well, thank you so much, Lori. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back. Lori Langley joins us in the studio today to share a recipe for one of her famous Christmas candies.
Yes, this one is so easy. I am not a big fan of recipes that have a laundry list of ingredients and you have to get out, the thermometers and all of the things to make a big production out of it. This one is so simple, and if you want that little extra something to maybe put on your gift trays or, add in those little simple things, this one's got a beautiful little bit of color to it. It's going to be the perfect addition. So we talked earlier about using a double boiler though, or a double boiler system to melt our chocolate and get our initial ingredients together. And that gives us that indirect heat, makes it so we don't have to worry about that chocolate scorching in the bottom. And we're just melting it with a spatula. Do not whisk it. Don't add any air to this. We want to go very just easy and sort of keeping that off the bottom. So what I've got in my pan is about 1.5 bags. I like my fudge a little bit firmer so it's easy to cut. So instead of just 1 bag, I added about 1.5 bags of just regular old white chocolate chips, whatever brand you love, and a 1/2 stick of butter and 1 can of sweetened condensed milk. And this is just the normal size little short can, again, whatever brand you like. And we've got that melted. It's just about all nice and smooth and creamed together. You'll let the butter melt, let the chips melt, make sure you don't have any little pieces left in there. And it's gonna be so smooth and creamy. I know it'll be a little bit hard for you guys to see, but it just is gonna make this beautiful, shiny, just really nice, sort of pourable. You can see it very easily off the spatula.
Yes.
So the last thing we're gonna add in there, once that's all really nice and melted, is just a couple teaspoons of almond extract. We always wanna add that at the end so that it doesn't just disappear, evaporate away. So after everything is basically ready, we'll mix a little bit of that in. Because as we know, cherry and almond, perfect together.
Yes.
Just a little splash, but it's also very good without. So if you have someone with a nut allergy or any reason that you want to leave that out, it's not going to change your recipe. You could change it out for vanilla or a different flavor as well. Just put that in at the end, same amount. So we'll get that really thoroughly mixed. And as we were talking, this one's so easy. Just because it's easy doesn't mean it's not really good and one of our favorites, right? We love those peanut clusters. You mentioned haystacks that you love to make. Those are simple, but oh my goodness, everybody loves them, right? They love to grab those. They go so fast. So we're gonna take this off of our heat. As we said, that's the beauty of the double boiler system. As soon as we're ready, we pop that off of there, and now we are completely off the heat. No more worries about that turning into anything burnt or scorched tasting on the bottom. So we've got here our maraschino cherries. As I promised, I've got them all nice and chopped. They are squeezed and dried and squished in a paper towel and squished some more and squished some more because they have so much moisture in them. We want to get rid of all of that we can. It will make a difference on whether or not your fudge sets up well. So I'm going to add most of that big jar, and this was the bigger jar of maraschino cherries, not the little one. But this is just personal preference, how much you want to put in there.
Yes.
So I'm going to stir these in there. When we come back, we're going to add one more addition and really dress them up in our pan.
Oh, I can't wait. Well, thanks, Lori. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back. We've got Lori Langley in the studio today, and we're in the middle of making some pretty fun Christmas candy right now.
Yeah, this cherry fudge is so good, and I've kind of taken it up one more notch to make it more of a cherry almond fudge, because that's just my favorite.
Yes.
Certainly, you do not need to add that extra step in there if you don't like the almonds or you're just trying to keep that nut free. It's just as good without it. All we've added in there, again, simple ingredients with all of that. You do want to use some real butter. Avoid the margarine on this one. We don't want that extra water content in there. But I've added to that my chopped cherries, and I added in just a handful of sliced, kind of the slivered almonds. So they're going to be those nice small pieces that you can really cut easily when you go to slice this into squares. That's always something to think about when you cut those cherries up. Keep them in those smaller pieces so that they're easy to slice those into the bite-sized pieces. Oh, and you're going to want to keep these small pieces. It's very, very rich. If you're going to give it maybe as a gift to your family next door or your neighbors, you can do this in the pans as well and just leave it whole. You'll want to spray it. I'm going to give this just a light spray, even on my aluminum pan. If you do this on your reusable pan at home, you can just put parchment paper in there so that it lifts out easy. But even the parchment paper, it's a good idea to go ahead and spray it so that it makes it a nice, easy, clean release. So all I'm going to do now is take this entire pan, and again, it's not super hot because we haven't been cooking in this pan. The heat is in my bottom pan, so it helps make it a little bit safer too. If the kiddos are going to help, you don't have to worry about them burning. Just be really careful when you do lift that off, because you'll get some steam release from that bottom boiler pan. So once I've got all those goodies in there, don't miss any of those cherry pieces for sure.
Yes.
We're going to spread that out nice and even. And then just kind of imagine where you're going to cut those pieces at, because if you'll remember at our beginning part, we saved some of those little cherry halves to come in here. If I can keep my tips of my gloves out of that. It's a little easier to do with clean hands, let's be honest. But you can make little designs on here with your cherries. Maybe you want to turn these into some little holly berries or whatever. Be creative, have some fun with it. Again, this makes a really great gift. We're kind of past those teacher gifts now. The kids are out of school. This is going to set up in the fridge Overnight is best to really give it a little bit of time before you slice it. But after that, just slice it with a paring knife. You can even turn it out of the pan so that you can slice it with the bigger knife easier if you're going to put it in the little squares. But one thing I didn't point out, I do want to make sure and say, we have this on a very low temp on the stovetop. You don't want this a rolling boil or anything like that.
Low and slow.
Low and slow. It took about 10 minutes to melt my chips before I added in the sweetened condensed milk and the butter, and then about another 5 minutes to really get those well incorporated. So not a lot of time.
No,
but just be patient with it.
Yes.
It's worth it.
Especially with how expensive butter and chocolate is nowadays.
Oh my gosh.
Let's not accidentally burn this.
So true. It's a great time of year to get some sales on chocolate chips, but plan on those being about $5 a bag.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, this looks so good, Lori. I can't wait to snack on this later. Awesome. So thank you so much. We'll be right back.